And we're back with another episode of Big Apple Breakdown. Coming up, we got a lot of Knicks basketball to talk about. A lot of offseason rumors going on with them already. Both Yankees and Mets look good, but the Mets might be a World Series team. Henry, how are you doing?
Doing great. We're kind of in that dead spot of the baseball season, just waiting for the All-Star break. But, there's a lot of exciting Knicks news with the head coach search. And honestly, it's kind of confusing still as to why they would fire Tibbs. And they don't really seem to have a direction in their coaching search. So definitely interesting there.
So let's get into it. So it's been about 2 weeks since we've done the live stream. We had that interview with Justin, but I believe the Knicks were down 3-1 the last time we talked, so we kind of knew the season was coming to an end. But since then, I would say it's kind of shocking they fired Tom Thibodeau. I kind of thought I brought it up in the show a few times, but I kind of thought once they beat Boston, I at least got them another year. And from that firing, I respect what the Knicks are doing. They clearly don't think they can win it all with Tom Thibodeau as their head coach. And history shows they might be right, as typically doesn't go too far into the playoffs of this team. But, man, it looks like they had no plan for what the market was for them.
I thought when they went up 2-0 against Boston, he bought himself another year. Going into enemy territory, they took 2 games on the road. People thought that they could get swept in that series, and they seemingly pretty handily beat the Celtics in that closeout game. And I know Tatum got hurt in the series, but they essentially won 3 of the 4 games that they won in that series with a healthy Tatum. Tatum got hurt in the late in that third win for the Knicks. And you are right, it is the same thing with every Thibodeau team. They just fall apart. Like whatever series it is, every year, his guys just get run too hard into the ground, and they end up just imploding on themselves.
And I think once they beat Boston, I kind of think the Knicks organization is looking at this season as a missed opportunity, because you have such a great upsets against Boston. You beat the champs, you think you could beat anybody, and then you lose to the team that you kind of said all year you would have beat last year if you were healthy. And the Pacers aren't going anywhere. They're a young core, and clearly not at the Pacers level. And I think it's a little frustrating losing to a team that hypothetically you think you were better than.
Of course it is. It is. You're right. After beating Boston, I think a lot of Knicks fans thought like, hey, we're gonna be in the finals. They thought it was almost a foregone conclusion that they would be in the finals, like you said, because of last year, where they thought if they were healthy, they were beating Indiana. And this year they're saying, we're healthy, we're better than we were last year, we're going to beat Indiana. And it was game 1. They lost that series because of game 1. Mm-hmm. If they won game 1, obviously, who knows what would happen in that series, but that was the most deflating Knicks loss I've ever seen.
I have a little bit of interesting news to read about the Yankees that we'll definitely talk about later, but I just want to read this to you. So with Stanton coming back, Jack Curry just tweeted that Aaron Boone said Ben Rice could start playing games starting as a catcher with Stanton coming back. That's interesting.
That is interesting, because also
there.
Say that again?
Like to get Ben Rice's bat more in there, I guess. Put him in the backup catcher role.
Yeah, but then put him in the backup catcher role. But then that means Wells, I know catchers, they have to get a certain amount of off days just because the toll that position takes on them. That means I feel like Wells would be getting a lot more off days than you would want to see him getting.
It's interesting. The way I look at this is instead of Ben Rice off days, he's just going to be catching. So no, Escar is just never going to play again, pretty much. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. I don't think it's going to take away times from Austin Wells. Instead of Ben Rice sitting 3 games a week, it might be 2 just because of this position opening up for him. I don't know. That's the way I kind of look at that.
It is very interesting just because wherever you if if you're gonna play Ben Rice at DH, obviously you're taking reps away from Stan. If you're gonna play him at first base, you're taking reps to get away from Goldschmidt.
Uh-huh.
If you're gonna catcher, you're taking reps away from Austin Wells. But also, if you play any of those guys in that position, you're taking reps away from Ben Rice. All those guys deserve to be getting reps, so it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem.
It's definitely a problem. I mean, guys are going to be losing playing time, and this is what the tough part of being a manager is, in my opinion. What days are you going to start some guys? When do you pinch hit guys? Who's going to be losing time? And I think Ben Rice is clearly the one that's going to be losing a lot of time. I think Jason Dominguez is unfortunately going to be losing more time. I don't know. I think Trent Grisham's kind of fallen down to earth a little bit, so maybe
I don't think Rice is gonna. Okay. I think they're gonna find a spot for Rice every day. Be almost
every day. I don't know about that.
Almost every day. He's playing out of his mind.
Of course, he is playing out of his mind, but you think of there's just not enough spots for the guys that deserve playing time. If you think about it, because you have Goldschmidt, Rice, and Stanton are all attached to each other. Mm-hmm. And then even in a way, Dominguez is attached to that. And even Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge isn't going to lose playing time, but are you going to see less
Dominguez is attached to that in the DH spot. Dominguez will just play more at
I think he's just going to lose more playing time because they want Trent in there, and you have that little bit of excuse. You could put Dominguez at DH when Trent is playing. It's interesting.
But also,
it's really interesting what they're going to do.
Trent Grisham coming back down to earth, it makes that decision easier.
He'll lose more playing time. I think
he would be the odd man out in this whole in the outfield situation. But I wouldn't tie those guys. I get your whole DH thing, but I wouldn't tie that in with the Ben Rice, Goldschmidt, Stanton, Austin Wells.
Okay.
Lump as much.
I guess we'll find out. So Aaron Boone does lineups. Yeah.
But I definitely see what you're saying with all that.
I just think it's all going to have a domino effect.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have, but it is a problem.
I really think the only guys that it affects zero are Aaron Judge. He's even he's not going to be DHing as much. Bellinger, I don't think it really affects it all. Mm-hmm. Chisholm and Volpe, it won't affect it all either. Everyone else, I think, it's a bit of a domino effect in a way.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Oh, we got our first comment. I'll read you this real quick. This is kind of. So, how do you think Aaron Rodgers will do in Pittsburgh? And how do you feel about? I'm adding on to this question, but how do you feel about the Week 1 matchup, Jets Steelers?
Oh, I'm pumped for the matchup. How he does in Pittsburgh, I think, because all of last year, his play was fine. It was the Jets were a poorly coached team, and when they would lose those close games, the way he would spin it in the media, he took no responsibility, and he would put all the blame on all of his teammates. And I don't like that's just a losing mentality. And I think the Steelers are a great organization, great winning organization, and I don't think they'll stand for any of that. So
a little bit of my Twitter's kind of going off right now, but so Shams just tweeted that the Knicks tried to interview Quinn Snyder, who's currently the coach for the Hawks, and also got denied. So
Jesus,
that's not a coach that you kind of want to beg for, in my opinion. But I think we have a new viewer here, Johnny Mets fan, Henry's Yankees. We're both Yankees fans.
Yeah.
But back to the Knicks. So I kind of want to go back to this head coaching circle. So you fire Tom Thibodeau, and typically when you're a good team and you have a comfortable situation with like the Knicks did, you think you have somebody lined up.
Mm-hmm.
You think you have somebody lined up. However, this guy said he's unsubbing. Yanks suck. We're not biased. We love the Yankees and Mets. Don't sub. But that's kind of funny. Especially a new viewer. I like it. We love it. But okay, sorry. Typically, you kind of know someone's on the way, and clearly the Knicks just had no game plan going into this.
Yeah, they had no game plan, no direction of where they wanted to go. And I think if their direction was to try to poach a coach from one of these other franchises, what a dumb plan, because you're going to the Rockets, the Mavs, who was the other team? The Hawks.
Hawks. And you got the
wait, there was one. There was one more that I was thinking of that they got denied. Oh, the Timberwolves. Yes, you're going to these teams saying, "Hey, can we interview your head coach?" What do you think unless they're trying to go in a totally different direction in their franchise? What do you think they're going to say? Like, these are their coaches that are there building something, and it doesn't seem like any of those franchises, besides, I don't know what the Hawks' plan is, but it doesn't seem like any of those other franchises want to move off their head coach. So I just don't understand what the thought process is there.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm confused. I think the Knicks went into this I think you would the way they approached this, you would have thought they had a tip that someone was interested in that job that's currently under contract, which can happen. Jason Kidd himself got traded from the Nets to the Bucks, but going in blindsided with this is very bold. And throughout this head coaching search, I've seen just crazy names pop up. I've seen Rick Pitino. I've seen Jay Wright. Just crazy, just delusional.
Dan Hurley.
That just, I think a guy like Johnny Bryant's a very good option for the Knicks, who was an assistant for them under 4 years for Tibbs, was a Cavs assistant. And hey, look around the best teams in the league. Sometimes these no names that come out of nowhere are the best option. But the Knicks are just taking this big market. We're the Knicks idea. We should be able to get all the big names, and it's not going their way so far.
Yeah, and like you mentioned that sometimes these teams hire an assistant and then go on and win. The one I really think about when I think about that is how the Raptors won in 2019 with Nick Nurse. They fired what was that? What was their coach's name?
Dwayne Casey.
Dwayne Casey, yes. He was coach of the year before, and they fired him before he even accepted his coach of the year award. He accepted his coach of the year award after he was fired by them, which I thought was honestly insane. And then they hired Nick Nurse, and he goes on and wins a championship there. So it's possible, and I feel like that happens more than, like, you see like Doc Rivers go and latch on with every team that can't find success, and that goes nowhere. So
Ty Lue, Steve Kerr, all guys that won it all their first year as head coaches. And I mean, look at the Thunder's head coach. This guy came up through the system. Eric Spoelstra, another guy that came up through the system, wasn't a big name. And I think the Knicks are just taking this weird approach to it, and really I just think they had no game plan for this. They think, we can't win all with Tibbs. Let's just fire him, and have no idea what the market's like.
Also, in the NBA, I don't know that coaches necessarily want to come into something that's like already established, and something where like Jalen Brunson and his dad seem to be running the show, basically, because if a coach might come in too afraid to like step on people's toes because they fear that if they step on someone's toes, then Jalen Brunson and his daddy are gonna be like, get him out of here.
It's a very interesting job, because you almost think that you're going to be coaching for, it can be very temporary. I mean, first off, an NBA head coaching job just such a hard job to keep in general, but especially this job where the Knicks just had their best season in 25 years, there's going to be a lot of pressure next year. And I don't know if it's as appealing as a job as you might think it is. You might see, this team just made the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston's hurt next year. They got a decent core going on. They might upgrade in free agency, but it's going to be a tough job to take. And clearly, the market's just not lining up for them.
And also, this could have been like their peak. Like they might not
For sure.
have a higher ceiling than this, and other coaches might look at this roster and look at the lack of assets they have and be like, there's not much much more that I can do with this. I don't see this really going much further. And that might be why they might want to back out of it. I know the Knicks brand is one of the biggest in the world and all of that, but also that comes with a price. The media is the harshest in the world. We see it in every sport where some people are great elsewhere. They come to New York and the pressure from the media alone, like, mentally kills them.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I mean, it happens at coaching, playing. It totally happened. But I think the next thing about this is with them firing Tibbs, I would be really, really shocked if they ran back this roster. I think that's the next part to this. I don't think they think they can win a championship with this core. And going into this offseason, I really don't think a single player is safe except Jalen Brunson. I think they're going to be one of the most aggressive teams in the league. I could see them go star hunting. It seems like Giannis is going to stay, so that's off. Durant, I don't really love that for them, to be honest with you, but I think that is something they might pursue. And I just don't see them running back this core. Are they really just going to be like, oh, it was all Tibbs' fault. Let's just get a new head coach. We'll win it all.
Yes.
You think
okay.
I don't know.
But what big splash can they make? I know you just said Kevin Durant, but
they got the salary to match, and to me, with the recent trades that I've seen in basketball, draft picks are starting to not matter to teams as much because, and I think the Knicks have players that teams would want. Mikal Bridges is a player a lot of teams I think would still want. He's still younger. I also think Karl-Anthony Towns is a player teams want. I think they have appealing options. Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. These aren't just bad contracts. So I don't think they need to match the draft picks. Giannis, they would. But I don't think Giannis, it sounds like, is going to stay in Milwaukee. But a guy like Durant, I think, is very doable. The only problem is I don't think that's the right move. This is what my mind is. Max said Durant's a cancer since leaving the Warriors. Oh, totally. I mean, just look at how he's done since then.
And look at how he handled Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
ruined that franchise.
Totally. But I guess the thing that if Durant did go to the Knicks, I don't think he'd be the leader of the team, which he's just not the type of guy. He never wanted to be the leader of any of his teams, really.
He's never been a leader.
He's not an alpha personality, just he isn't. And I hope that, which kind of worries about New York. I mean, if Durant did end up going back, he'd talk back to media. He'd start fights with fans on Twitter, maybe even courtside. That's just who he is. But he's a great player, and no one can deny that.
I know his last run in New York, he was with the Nets, but it is the same media. I know they're not covered as harshly as the Knicks. And I think he handled the media fine. And he was an amazing basketball player while he was there. It was just the Nets ownership fumbled a lot. And I sit here and I talk a bunch of crap about Kevin Durant, and I feel like he could have handled things better, but also a lot of it was the Nets ownership fault. So maybe, and James Dolan isn't a great owner by any means either. But
no, I don't think he has any idea what he's doing right now. I think he I think he was staying out of it when the Knicks were bad and they got back to playoff contenders, and now I think he's kind of hands-on again.
Yeah, so.
Which, he's not a good owner.
No.
And players don't love to play for him.
Well, the thing I feel like people, because I don't know if you remember the whole Charles Oakley thing. This was way back. We were younger when he got kicked out of the arena and banned.
I don't remember the full details, but yeah.
I forget the details of it too, but I remember him getting kicked out of the arena and banned. And then, that's a former Knicks player I feel like the way the media talks about James Dolan, they talk about him like oh well, he cares. He's trying. He's trying to win. But you sit back and look at it, I don't think it doesn't seem like he cares all that much. It doesn't seem like he really wants to win. I feel like he's just trying to line his pockets and trying to do anything he can to just make more money.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not a Jim Dolan fan at all. I don't like him as an owner, and I don't know. I think there's a real chance the Knicks are going into the off next year where they strike out on trade targets. They don't get that much better, and they're with a coach that maybe isn't going to bring what Tibbs did, and you might lose what kind of got you to this point. But then again, you might also have an opportunity where you're better next year, and you have a chance to win it all. And they're taking a gamble, and I guess that's what sports is about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to some baseball. I actually like this question. So, with Pete Alonso having a crazy run, MVP type season, what would it take for him to sign an extension this season? A lot. I'll tell you that. A lot of money.
I don't know. He's definitely just gonna stay out of negotiations and hit the open market. I just don't see him.
Forrest will not let him sign. Yeah. It would have to be like a Vladimir Guerrero type deal for him to sign today. Like I seriously think that's what it would take.
Yeah, maybe I agree. I just don't.
Less of the years because he's younger, but it'd be something crazy like that.
Yeah, it would need to be a nice check.
And I mean, the Mets have had such a good year, but I mean, I bet all fans just wish that they just met his demands, and hey, you would have had a great contract for the rest of his career, probably.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
No one blamed the Mets for that during the time. But I mean, what Pete's doing right now, I mean, he could win the MVP. Probably still going to be Ohtani, but
yeah,
he's an MVP candidate, and he's having a great season for the Mets.
And sometimes, maybe if they did come to him in the winter and give him all that money, maybe he wouldn't be playing this well. Maybe he took it personally, took it as a target on his back, and he's going out there and wants to prove everyone wrong. So
I like that mindset.
Like there are some good to some of these things that happen in the world of sports.
How about Juan Soto eating up? He's been good. He's starting to get back to the player we all know. I mean, he's up. Just looking at his stats now compared to a week or two ago, he's up to 248, 12 home runs, 33 RBIs. He's starting to look like the player we know. And
also what he's starting to get better. Also, what is starting to happen, what you can see going on is he looks happier. He looks like he's messing around with his teammates in the dugout. That Dodger series, he looked the happiest I've seen him all year. He's starting to look more like he did all last year when he was on the other side of the town.
Yeah, I think a lot of it might have been just he was struggling. He was frustrated. And, I respect it. I mean, sometimes players can't hide. Players can't pretend to be happy when they know they're not performing to the standards they know they can perform to. And I think that might have been some of the case with Soto's body language earlier. But, I mean, the Mets, this team looks good right now. Of course, such a long year. Baseball's a year of runs. But right now they look really, really scary. And hypothetically, their pitching's only going to get better. Trade deadline's coming around. They'll only add. Steve Cohen's going to be aggressive. He thinks this team can win it all. So it's a good time to be a Mets fan right now. They look scary.
Of course. Yeah, the pitching has been amazing. And, yeah, they're just going to keep adding. I think they're going to add another couple bats. And I really could see them in October, them and the Dodgers fighting it out for
NLCS again. Yep.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, you finish.
Oh, and we saw them play the Dodgers last week or so, and twice, what a series that was. Right? Yeah, they beat them.
I think they beat them twice in the series. I think they two different series.
Yeah.
But I want to mention something to you that so a lot of just baseball fans and Mets fans, I think, were frustrated that it doesn't seem like David Stearns likes to pay pitchers. And I think I wonder if this is a valid point that it's just such a big risk paying pitchers. Max Fried right now looks like the Yankees are getting every penny worth. Corbin Burns, a guy a lot of us wanted the Mets to pursue, just got Tommy John, and you're on that deal for 6-7 years. It's just a massive risk. And right now, Stearns looks smart not paying these pitchers because it's a tough investment because these guys are getting hurt more than ever, and your $30 million arm gets hurt, your season could be screwed.
Yeah, I think, I mean, MLB's been going in this direction for the last few years. Like that workhorse ace pitcher as we know it is just really a thing of the past.
Some still out there. Drake Skubal.
Yeah,
Max
Skubal,
but not as much, totally.
Cole when he's healthy, Paul Skeens. But those guys are becoming like such an anomaly. Like it's not. We used to have these feared pitchers all around baseball, and now we just don't have that nearly as much. And I mean, I was saying it all winter about David Stearns, how I really like his approach because he has a proven track record with it. It's not like they just didn't sign anyone this offseason. It's like, what are they going to do? We've seen him do this before, and it almost always works out. I mean, we'll see if it's sustainable throughout the whole entire season. But to this point, no, you're good. But to this point, it has always worked out. So, for the Mets and everything, I think that they should maybe add another pitcher or two, but they should really focus on shoring up this lineup.
I mean, you can never get hurt adding other arms. I mean,
eventually, you can never have enough arms in
eventually this approach isn't going to work. Look, our guy, right now, it looks like Frankie Montas has been horrible in the minor leagues. But again, if that guy doesn't work out, I think he's a 1 or 2 year deal type guy, and he's off your team. Then it's not the end of the world. And so far, this approach it's just worked. They've won a lot of these low market guys that turn into valuable pitchers for them. But I agree. I think they could add more to the lineup still. They'll be on. All the good teams are always aggressive. Mets, Yankees, Dodgers. They'll add people. And look, I
feel like these pitchers that he's getting, like, people are acting like he's turning these horrible pitchers into great pitchers. Just two of the guys he's gotten from the Yankees, Clay Holmes and Luis Severino. Luis Severino was a superstar his first couple of years with the Yankees. Fought some injury concerns. Really, his last year with the Yankees, he was just like a broken player, and he took a chance on him and kind of brought him back to form. Clay Holmes, who the Yankees turned into a great closer before he ultimately fell apart towards the end of last year. He has these great attributes to him, and David Stearns sees that and says, well, I can take him. Maybe he's not suited for that role, but I could take him and turn him into a starter. He's got this good stuff that he can use and become a starter with it. So
you're right. They're not going after no names. I think what they do is they see a guy that had success, had a bad year, or a guy that they see, let's tweak that. Let's tweak that mechanic. Let's add that pitch. Let's adjust that pitch, and they turn him into something real profitable, and they turn into really, really good pitchers.
And the Yankees have some great pitchers, Cole, who's hurt right now, and Max Fried, but they also have some of these pitchers. Like this year, Fernando Cruz. Last year was Weaver, and they even did it with Clay Holmes, who have something to them, but you don't know what it is. They're also, to an extent, doing it with Yarborough this year. They have something to them, and some of this great stuff, and they bring the Yankees pitching coach, Matt Blake, brings that out of them more, and he can turn someone like Cruz, who wasn't great in Cincinnati, but had great stuff. He's been great this year, so the Yankees do it too. It's not just the Mets doing it.
No, yeah, totally. And I think part of it is because Carlos Mendoza might have learned some under Aaron Boone. I know they're very different managers, but of course, that's where Carlos Mendoza came from, the Yankees.
Mm.
But I think ultimately what it comes down to the Mets is they're gonna get to a point where after that July 30th or 31st trade deadline, whatever it is, do they think we could? Do the Mets think they could beat the Dodgers? And
Mm-hmm.
if that answer is ultimately yes, then they've done a really, really good job. And to me, going into this year, I thought this wasn't a bridge year, but I didn't think they could really have a shot at the Dodgers. I didn't think they'd be this good. I thought they'd be a kind of a wild card playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
But they might have a legit shot of making the World Series for the first time since that 2015 season. So just hats off to them. I mean, a lot of credit goes to the way that year's gone for them so far.
Of course.
So some Yankee stuff. They're not. I would say a little bit of a slump recently.
A little bit, yeah. Especially that Dodger series.
Yeah, that Dodgers series sucked. Just lost another series. Just lost series to the Red Sox. Our bullpen is the Yankees might need to trade for a bullpen pitcher before even the deadline. The bullpen's not looking good.
Yeah, the bullpen's hasn't looked great. Luke Weaver is hurt. Which also I think if you want to look at things on the bright side, it might force Devin Williams a little bit to be like, might be a little bit of a kick in the ass to be like, you gotta like go into some of these situations in the ninth inning. You don't really have a choice, and maybe that could expedite him turning it around a little bit.
He hasn't really blown a game yet. It's like got Ian Hamilton, man. That guy might be cooked. It's kind of that middle of the bullpen. I thought has been just shockingly bad, and the depth just is not there. And the bullpen, I think we thought we could possibly have, just isn't there. And I mean, I don't know if you saw Jake Cousins got hurt in a rehab start or outing.
Outing.
Guy that you could add to the bullpen that could give you some good production. And I mean, it's definitely concerning. I mean, I see some names, like you turn a Yankee game on, you see some names that are out there you just didn't expect to be pitching meaningful innings for them.
No, yeah, of course it is. They do need to add another arm or two to that bullpen, of course.
And I mean, lefty wise, it's kind of just Tim Hill. I know I can't think of his name, but he's not good. We have another lefty in there. Of course, you're gonna have multiple lefties in there, but
last year for a long time we only had one lefty in the bullpen.
I know it is kind of crazy that throughout the regular season, I mean, Tim Maiza was one of our playoff pitchers, which is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think you're thinking of Tyler Matzek.
Yeah, Ari De Los Santos. I thought that was the guy we had last year at first. I don't know if they're related, but he's a guy that's gonna get DFA'd. I think eventually. Mm-hmm. Let me see other guys. Scott Efros, is Steven pitching? Oh no, he has not pitched all year. Sorry.
He hasn't pitched all year.
Yeah. Mark Leiter, who he's had an year, but kind of getting asked to do a lot. I think more than he expected, and more than the Yankees, I think, initially expected.
Mm-hmm. And then even like Loizinga, who just came back a couple of weeks ago, came back for that Mets series. He's also kind of in the same boat where he's just kind of getting thrown to the fire.
Yeah, I mean, the offense has been really, really good, but now the starting pitching is kind of starting to struggle. It kind of just feels like Max Fried has it going right now. Clark Schmidt's kind of disappointed me this year. I don't know how you felt about him. Will Warren's kind of come down.
He had a weird start to the year with that whole injury thing, and then he had to skip a start.
Like right now, he's over a 4.
Yeah,
it was not that last year.
I think you gotta still just give him some time. The biggest thing with him that he's fought in the past is just like staying healthy. And to this point, he's been healthy for the most part, besides like the very beginning of the year. But I I think you still got to just like give him a little bit of time. If you have someone over a 4 ERA at the back end of your starting rotation, it's not.
Is he our pitcher three, right? Like he's kind of our pitcher three, though. I mean, Will Warren. Look, Will Warren's a frustrating one to watch, in my opinion, because I think he has good stuff. I think he has all the makings to be a good pitcher one day. I just don't think he's there yet. I mean, right now he's 4-3 with a 5.34 ERA. About what you expect from a guy like that, in my opinion. I know he had a bad start the other day, but Yarborough has been kind of a surprising gem they found.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it kind of feels like some of these guys are coming down to earth. Rodon kind of has first bad start against the Red Sox, I believe it was, in a bit. So, I mean, look, some of these issues are starting to come up for the Yankees, and I think Brian Cashman's going to have to address them at the trade deadline. I think they need another starting pitcher and multiple bullpen arms and a second or third baseman.
Yeah, we definitely do need more pitching and all that. But I think to even say like Rodon had a rough start the other day against the Red Sox, I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on the starting pitching concerns. I think the bullpen, yeah, but the starting pitching got to pump the brakes on that a little bit. Rodon has been amazing so far this year. So,
but
yeah,
I just have a question for you. So, with Luis Hill coming back, are you comfortable with adding 0 other starting pitchers?
I would be. I would say add to the bullpen. I think that the rotation as constructed could be just fine
because
down the stretch.
I am asking for a lot. Saying you need 3 different stuff for a trade deadline is a lot. So I think you're right where they're going to address the infield and the bullpen before starting pitching.
Especially once the bullpen, or not the bullpen, the starting rotation gets shorter as the deeper you go in the playoffs. You know, Fried, Rodon, and Heel could get you through a playoffs.
And then you'll have Clark at 4, probably. I don't know. I think Luis Hill pitched twice in the playoffs last year. Kind of on a wacky year for him.
Mm-hmm.
Could be asking a lot for him to be your number 3 starter.
But also he might be more fresh.
You're right, because he was. I mean, he was awesome last year, but he was better in the beginning of the year. You are right.
And he was a workhorse last year.
He pitched a lot last year. Yep.
Yeah.
You think so? I mean, DJ's been. I would say it's been better this year for him. 277 right now, 6.7, 65 OPS, which I think's kind of surprising. Are you comfortable with this being the guy for the season, or no? You're still on boat of finding.
No, as good as it's been, and he looks like youthful out there on the field. Like he playing defense, he looks different than he has the last few years, which has been a pleasant surprise. But if he is in a lineup in October, I think the Yankees aren't going to be making it back to the World Series.
You think? Yeah. I mean, I want the Yankees to be aggressive this trade deadline because I think they got a real shot to go get back to the World Series.
Oh no, we lost Johnny. Let's see if he comes back. Johnny's laptop died. All right. So I think I'm just gonna end the stream there. See you guys next week for another episode of Big Apple Breakdown. Follow us on our socials, Big Apple Breakdown and everything. Like, comment, subscribe on this video. It helps us out a ton. buy a Dugout mug. If you use code Big Apple, you get 20% off your entire purchase. So thank you guys.